Now on CoastTV News.
Farmland with big plans in Frankfurt, the opportunity businesses see, but worries from those living nearby.
Rehoboth street plan in the air, a proposed bike network taking the road less pedaled.
Big NASCAR weekend over at Dover Motor Speedway. How one NASCAR driver is honoring a trooper.
We had a touch of early morning rain, but it still looks like our drought situation might have actually gotten a bit worse.
This is CoastTV News at 5.
More homes in Frankfurt, site plans and growth. Good evening. I'm Madeline Overturf.
And I'm Charlie Sakaitis. We begin tonight with yet another development in the works.
This time in Frankfurt with plans to build off Clayton Avenue. The goal is a common one, providing more affordable housing. The town says they believe growth like this will help turn Frankfurt into more than just a pass-through town. CoastTV News reporter Drew Bellinger live there in Frankfurt. Drew, Frankfurt has already approved a whole different project for 584 homes on the other side of town.
Maddie, behind me is just a piece of the over 100 acres of land where the town has approved a preliminary site plan for to bring 460 homes to. Businesses in the area say they see the opportunity, while others are a little worried if the town will keep up. This over 100-acre plot of land off of Clayton Avenue could soon become home for hundreds of families. It's part of the planned growth taking place in Frankfurt. On the south side of town, new construction is already underway at the Vines Creek Crossing development, slated for 584 homes. Now, here on the north side, yet another project. Looks like it soon may follow.
It hopefully brings us a lot more business.
Darby McMaster works at the Frankfurt Cabinet and Furniture Shop and sees this growth as a benefit, as new homes will need new furniture.
I think it'll help bring more business into Frankfurt, and maybe new businesses will come in because we're having more homes built around the town.
If the current plans for the development are approved, 460 new homes will be built in Frankfurt. The town says the goal is to draw younger families and working professionals to town.
I mean, the town's about to double in size, population-wise.
David Stevens has lived in Frankfurt for over 30 years, and he is worried about the uneven speed of growth between homes and infrastructure.
I'm anxious to see what it's going to look like next year as far as the traffic and everything.
Frankfurt's future, building up fast. Will the small town be able to keep pace with growth? That's an answer yet to develop. Frankfurt Town Manager Sheldon Hudson also shared that in order for things to move forward, the property does have some issues like drainage, which need to be addressed by state agencies like DENREC and DELDOT. Reporting live here in Frankfurt, Drew Bellinger, Coast TV News.
Thank you, Drew. The proposed Lynch Farm development comes alongside that already approved Vine Creek Crossing development in Frankfurt off Pepper Road. That's where that is specifically. Now, that would be 584 homes there, and the town says if that happens, though, that's double, if not triple, Frankfurt's population. It also would have affordable housing, the town says, and economic opportunity.
In Rehoboth Beach, this is what a new bike trail network could someday look like. The city's Streets and Safety Committee working on the project with a goal of helping people avoid some of the most dangerous high-traffic roads like Rehoboth Avenue. Coast TV News reporter Emma Aiken is in our newsroom. Emma, the city says this would be different than a traditional bike path.
Charlie, unlike some bike paths, this suggested bike network would not create separate bike lanes. Rather, it would rely on clearer signage and designated routes intended to guide riders along calmer streets. Some of these roads include Henlopen Avenue and King Charles Avenue. The plan also calls for upgrading bike parking facilities, adding modern racks, and installing air pumps at key locations along the route. People who live nearby say they're ready for some improvement.
As you can see, we really don't have a path for actually bicycles. And when we are looking at trying to bike up and down, we have that along with all the traffic that we're trying to maneuver around.
The City Streets and Safety Committee said today that pretty much all of these bicycle suggestions were approved by the Board of Commissioners, meaning now it's about figuring out implementation. Back to you.
Thank you, Emma. This brings us to our Coast TV poll. We want to know, what is the biggest bike safety concern in Rehoboth?
Let's take a look at the results so far. And if you do want to vote, that QR code on the right-hand screen will do it for you. 60% say fast e-bikes are a concern, though 36% say driver awareness, 2% for busy crosswalks, 2% for narrow paths.
Now remember, it says 60% on fast e-bikes. We have a comment from Jason in Rehoboth who says, I don't think e-bikes are an issue. It's more on the vehicles and the drivers not paying attention.
We've gotten some great comments already on this poll, but we'd love to hear from you. If you haven't voted yet, do that right now, coasttvnews.com or our app.
Now let's go ahead and take a live look out into Dover as we check in with our first alert, Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams.
We actually had some rain that we could record from last night, and as ominous as it may have felt when it hit, in some areas it hit kind of hard, it still didn't drop a whole amount. The volume of water still on the low side, so we're still waiting for a real dousing or at least a consistent sprinkling that we've had lately. But neither is in the cards in our immediate forecast. In Dover right now, we're at 63 degrees. We will drop down to 56 with partly cloudy skies by the 9 o'clock hour. Here's where it stands right now with our official count. We had 1/10 of an inch of rain, only 1/10 in Ocean City, just about the same, just a skosh over that in Salisbury and Georgetown for that matter. And in Cambridge, we didn't even reach 1/10 of an inch of rain officially, even though we had the storm that pushed across these regions directly. So just because it's a strong storm doesn't mean it's dropping a whole lot of water. And here's the latest update on our severe drought. Now it's covering the entire peninsula without leaving anybody out to dry, pun intended. Coming up, we'll talk more about the next wave of rain coming through and a big warm up ahead.
Thank you, Paul. Dover Motor Speedway is getting ready for one of NASCAR's biggest weekends. The All-Star Race is this weekend at the world's fastest 1-mile oval, and it's the first time the All-Star Weekend's in the Northeast. It's a $1 million prize, and there's several competition-focused changes to the Monster Mile. This is kind of cool. Myatt Snyder is also expected to race Saturday in a car honoring Trooper Ty Snook. You might remember Trooper Snook was killed in the line of duty last December, so the Delaware State Police Museum is asking for donations to help make that NASCAR tribute happen. President Trump hails talks with China's president at a highly anticipated summit in Beijing as extremely positive.
NBC's Melanie Zanona shows us how talks between the U.S. and China are balancing trade, tensions over Taiwan, and global security concerns.
Parade and pageantry greeted President Trump in Beijing before he and China's President Xi settled in for closed-door talks in an effort to stabilize relations between the world's superpowers. Xi telling Trump a good China-U.S. relationship is important to the world, and Trump touting his friendship with the Chinese leader.
Whenever we had a problem, people don't know, whenever we had a problem, we worked that out very quickly. We're going to have a fantastic future together.
But once the doors closed, Xi delivered a stark warning over Taiwan, the self-governing island. Xi claims it is a Chinese territory, making clear this is the most important issue to China. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs saying the countries will have clashes and conflicts if the topic isn't handled properly. But for decades, the U.S. has given Taiwan political and military support to aid in the country's democracy, but stopping short of calling for independence. In an exclusive interview with NBC's Tom Yamas, Secretary of State Marco Rubio says that policy is not changing.
We always respond by saying anything that would compel or force a change in what we have now would be problematic. And we would certainly, our policies on that have not changed.
On Capitol Hill, lawmakers voiced support for Taiwan.
The bottom line is we are committed to their defense. We have told the Chinese do not attack them. I hope that remains clear after President Trump's trip over there.
I think that we have to continue the posture that we have today, and I think any step away from that posture would be a mistake.
The American readout of the meeting did not mention Taiwan, but focused on the war in Iran. China has close ties to Iran and buys much of its oil from them. President Trump tells Fox News Xi is ready to help end hostilities.
He would like to see a deal made. And he did offer, he said, if I can be of any help at all, I would like to be of help.
Trade is also expected to be a big topic of conversation at these meetings, and another round of talks will begin tomorrow. But President Donald Trump did tell Fox News that China is expected to order 200 Boeing aircraft. Melanie Zanona, NBC News, Washington.
Maryland farmers impacted by spring frost damage, what they're asking for.
And we're tracking the heat and humidity that's about to overtake our area this weekend. And next week, we're going to start feeling like summertime.
But first, Lewis's link to history, the city's colonial experience, and how Sussex County's support for England in 1776 nearly changed the course of American independence. Up next.
While the city of Lewis bills itself as the first town in the first state, it might have been one of the last to embrace American independence. In this week's Coastal Connection, we look at how loyalty to Britain almost led to a different outcome in Philadelphia's Independence Hall during the summer of 1776. A trip to Lewis's Sussex Tavern in the historic campus is a trip back in time. Here, you're likely to find its manager, Bill Hicks, who, after 30 years as a teacher, traded the classroom for this colonial-era establishment in full 18th century apparel.
We try to be as authentic as possible within reason.
From setting up on the inside to the exterior, Hicks is attempting to replicate the look and feel of the original inn on 2nd Street.
Now, that building was torn down in 1831, but this building on our property best lent itself to be that recreation.
It is a great backdrop for this former teacher to give us a lesson about Delaware's early years as part of the British Empire.
Delaware has a very strange, convoluted history. William Penn takes over 1681. He gets his charter for the colony of Pennsylvania. Delaware was known as the lower 3 counties on Delaware. And so that's when we really got our start as a colony.
Penn also had a say in some of the names for the southernmost county.
And he says, we'll name the town Lewis after the town in England where my mother-in-law comes from. And we'll name the county Sussex after the county in England where my mother-in-law, he must have voted his mother-in-law big time, but in any event, the folks here got a much more palatable name, and we've been Lewis, 2 syllables ever since.
While this part of Delaware was one of the furthest areas from Penn's Philadelphia, it had some of the closest ties to England.
I always say Sussex County's been on the wrong side of history because back then in the 1770s, Sussex County was a hotbed of Tories and Loyalists.
And those Loyalists may have produced a different outcome in 1776 if it were not for a peculiar situation.
A petition is circulated throughout the county, here in Sussex County. 5,000 Tories signed that petition. 500 Patriots signed their own petition. They're all being sent up to the Capitol to help determine what course Delaware takes. Well, somewhere along the way, that Loyalist petition disappeared.
With that, the unanimous vote for independence by all 13 colonies is secured, and a lesson worth hearing during our visit to the Sussex Tavern. For Coast TV, I'm Matt Pensick.
So we wanted some rain. We got a skosh, not enough to make an impact. And unfortunately, with the new numbers that came out about our drought situation, technically actually got worse. Didn't get any better. But it wasn't enough rain to make a dent in anything anyway. I'll show you that in a moment. So in Ocean City right now, it's like 63 degrees. Dew point is 45. Winds at 13 miles per hour. Now we're going to drop to 56 with mostly clear skies by the 9 o'clock hour. This is the latest rendition of what's happening with our cloud cover in our region. We're looking at a continuous flow with scattered clouds in place, but we received some rain starting, at midnight this morning, I guess 12 o'clock this morning, early morning hours. And we had some rain that pushed across and even an impressive cell or two, but once again, it fell apart. As soon as it began to make its way across the landmass, it fell apart so dramatically that it had little to no chance of dropping any significant amount of volume of water on our area. So take a look at, for example, the most impressive we had was 0.37, 0.38, so just over a third of an inch, not even a fourth of an inch of rain. Seaford, Harrington, Adamsville, Milford, Ellendale, just over a quarter of an inch in Ellendale. Our official count, or at our official sites, we had only 1,400ths, or just over a tenth, for us actually in Georgetown, an exact tenth of an inch of rain. in Ocean City and just 0.11. That's barely measurable, to be quite honest, in the sense of the kind of rain that we really need. We had just over a quarter of an inch in Stokely, and then right at a quarter of an inch in Laurel, and just under that in Slaughter Beach, and so on all the way down towards Lewis and Prime Hook. So it really wasn't enough. So think about it. Since we've had a decent half-inch rain, dousing of rain, we're talking about 42 days ago. April the 5th, actually, is the last time we had that. That was just over 3/4 of an inch, and we're going to continue to monitor that as a staff of Mets, keeping you abreast of what's going on. Here's where we stand for Friday morning. We're going to look for it to stay very clear. We're at 61 degrees in Millsboro, Milton, Georgetown, and Gumboro. We are cooler now, about 11 degrees cooler now, but the trend is going to switch. It's going to do the old switcheroo for us for actually going into this weekend. But just the last word on the rain, we are still nearly an inch shy for the month, even though for the month we're barely over a half an inch for the entire month. We should be near 1.5 inches, and we're over 3 inches, approaching 3.5 inches where we should be. Here's a look at our expectation for Friday. Temperatures will go into the 70s. It's going to get a little bit better. Now, the winds are still out of the northwest and very feisty. However, winds are going to shift out of the south over the weekend, and that's going to help warm us up nicely. We'll start off a bit cloudy Friday morning. Then we'll go into the upper 60s for Friday afternoon, near 70s. And then we're going to go near 80 degrees going into Saturday. And the dew point temperature is going to be a little bit better for us than last week. So we're going to feel a little more in the way of mugginess in the area for that. Quick look at our all-star race. We're looking at Saturday 82, Sunday 88. And finally, here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Preakness on Saturday. The car race here locally on Sunday, and 91s across the board Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week.
Thank you, Paul. Maryland Farm Bureau sent a letter to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and they are asking for a disaster declaration. That would unlock federal assistance and emergency loans to help farmers that were hit by the recent spring frost across the state. An internal survey found farmers are reporting an average estimated production loss, listen to this, nearly 68% across crops, with some operations saying they're suffering almost a total loss. The Farm Bureau leaders say many farmers lost an entire year of income in a single night and warned that while Maryland farmers are resilient, they cannot recover from this disaster alone.
Coming up tonight on the Delmarva Sports Network at 7, live Carolina League Baseball when the Shorebirds continue their series against the Fayetteville Woodpeckers. Then the final score is at 10:30.
Coming up, beach nourishment plans in Accomack County, why it is important for the community.
Updates on projects at NASA's Wallops Flight Facility in Accomack County were shared during a public information session last night. Wallops is preparing for the 4th round of beach nourishment since 2010, something those in Accomack say is really important for not just protecting infrastructure, but building habitat for local endangered species. Here's a live look outside into Laurel. One more check on your forecast is after this. All right, check this out. We're going to show you the moment that Telemundo Delmarva's Ana Sofia Roman learned she was nominated for an Emmy. It was such a great night there. Yeah, she and 2 other members of our team are competing against She jumped me up and down. They're competing against stations in Baltimore and D.C. for that category, she, Ted, and Tyler. So in this week's Feel Good Friday newsletter, we have more on exactly what our team is nominated for. And there's another big win, not nomination, win for the CoastTV team. Plus, we have a fun quiz so you can win some sunglasses. And we have more on local efforts to support law enforcement via Back the Blue. If you need weekend plans, we got your cool things to do with Matt Pensick. He'll break down NASCAR coverage. All that and more in our Feel Good Friday newsletter. You have to subscribe, though, so pull your phone out, scan that QR code, or go to coasttv.com/signup. Paul.
Let's again take a look at Milford, where it's going to drop to 56 degrees by the 9 o'clock hour. We have scattered cloud cover pushing across, but we're not seeing any more precipitation. We only had that much precipitation, about a tenth of an inch is all the impact we had. Avra Gold of Newark, congratulations, you're our umbrella giveaway winner, courtesy of Paul Davis, Property Restoration Experts. Keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line, sponsored by the law offices of Bruckstead, Mandalis, and Federico. Your forecast is just a call away. Finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. So here we go. Friday, we're still cooler than usual, but then starting Saturday, we start clocking temperatures feeling more like summertime until we get to next Thursday.
Sounds great, Paul. Thank you, and thanks for joining us here for Coast TV News at 5.
For more news, more local weather, download our Coast TV News app.
Inside Edition is up next.
And we'll see you later tonight for Coast TV News at 6. Have a great evening.